Hey folks, Lever here once again. Welcome back to another review. Hope you enjoyed my review of Sky High. Oh, that's on my channel right now. Check it out. Oh, this is my YouTube shirt, by the way. That is my channel name on it. Remember, leaving it now 983 with a nice profile picture on it. That is my currently new YouTube channel, you know, or backup channel if you want to call it that. But I'm still here on YouTube. I've still been here for 10 years. Next month I'll be 11 years on YouTube. Don't count this channel. Count the other channel if you're subscribed to my other channel. But anyway. Well, like I said, I hope you enjoyed my review of Sky High. Now I am reviewing, this is the last superhero movie of 2005. Well, it's a 2005 Western swashbuckler film directed by Martin Campbell and starring Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. This is a sequel to the 1998 film The Mask of Zorro, and that is The Legend of Zorro. Funny enough to say, I actually saw the second movie, this movie, before I saw Mask of Zorro, I believe, yeah. Because I think my auntie, they would used to rent movies and stuff when I was in school, like in middle school and stuff, or high school, like in the 2000s. And sometimes they would let me borrow the movie and I get to watch it. I don't want to film it if I get to watch a movie. Yeah, and this was one of them. Was Legend of Zorro. Now, to be honest, I didn't hate this movie. I didn't hate the sequel. I thought this one was okay. I think it's meh. I think it's a time waster at best, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is a very unnecessary sequel. You didn't really need it. There was a 7 year gap because the first one was 1998, 2000. And this was 2005. So it's kind of like almost, yeah, almost like a 7 year gap. And it just felt like it was an unwanted sequel, a sequel that we didn't really need. I don't think you need a sequel to this great movie. I still say The Master of the first one is a great movie. Despite the running time, 217 minutes is great. It goes by, I mean, it takes time with the pacing, and that's fine because the film has a really good story. Not a great cast. This film felt long as well. It's 130 minutes long. Yeah, but I'll get more into that later. Let's just get into the sequel. And I guess it came to be, I don't think there's much production value for the movie. But I can assume it only got made because the first movie made about $250 million, 253.3 million dollars at the box office, so on $95 million budget. And it was a huge hit when it came out. So, that's why it got the sequel. That's why you get The Legend of Zorro. Because eventually they're going to do it. They're going to say, because you had, let's say, Spider-Man 2 and Incredibles, and some other comic book movies around that time in the 2000s. Not every comic book movie, but the first Spider-Man movie, the first X-Men 2, X, X, X-Men movies, the first X-Men movies, two of them, they made money, and at least hope, even though I don't like that movie, I hate that so much. Some superhero movies were making money in the 2000s, and even after Zorro came out, there were some superhero movies that at least made a little bit of money in the 2000s. So they're probably thinking, yeah, we need to go ahead and make a sequel. Since this first one was successful, studio probably was like, yeah, let's make a sequel just for the sake of making a sequel. It just felt like a bit of a cash grab, in my opinion, by the studio. But again, I don't hate the film, but that's the only thing I can talk about. But for the cast of the movie, you have Antonio Banderas come back as Don Alejandro Vega as Zorro. Catherine Zeta-Jones comes back as Elena Del Lego. Rufus Willis as Count Omran, who's the villain of the film. Nick Jamon as Jacob McGibbons. Let's see. And Antonio Banderas. Yeah, he's done plenty of other movies. He did Shrek before this. He was in Shrek 2. And Puss in Boots is like a spoof of his character of that. Excuse me. Yeah, he was in Expendables 3, Sally. Interview with the Vampire, Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Yeah, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. He was in that. I think he was also this. Oh yeah, he was in the SpongeBob movie. Yeah, the 13th Warrior. So yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Uh, she was in Red too. She's been in quite a bit of movies. So Beautiful Woman. She was in The Haunting. Uh, Ocean's 12. Andre Pit. Andre Entrapment with the late Sean Connery. Rufus, or what? What's up, Will? He was in The Knight's Tale. I think that's with the start. Yeah, that's sort of the late Heath Ledger. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. The Illusionist, The Holiday, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Judy, The Father, Nick Shumlin. Let's see. Andre Aunt as Joaquin. Julia Oscar Mascaros, Pedro Felipe. He was in Blue Streak, Jurassic Park 3, The Lost City. Sadly passed away back in 2017. Charlotte Hensley as Pike. Michael Emerson as Hergerden. Leo Brosner as Colonel Gord. Tony Evelyn. Pedro Amar Jr. as Governor Riley. Robert Mendes as Frigga. Alright. And the film is directed once again by Martin Campbell, who, y'all should know he directed the James Bond movie GoldenEye. He directed Casino Royale, which was a year after this. I would say I like that movie a lot better. Foreigner, he directed that with Jackie Chan. Vertical Limit with Chris O'Donnell and the late Bill Paxton. Edge of Darkness, the 1985 film. Okay, so never seen that. And he directed the first Master of Zorro too. Wait a minute. No Escape? Oh, okay, that was the film starring the late Ray Liotta and Lance Henderson and Stuart Wilson and Ernie Hudson. Yeah. Screenplays by Robert Orci, Alex Kurtzman. He did the script for Mission Impossible 3, which I do like, Transformers, Eagle Eye, Watchmen, Cowboys and Aliens, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Mummy 2017, Alex Kurtzman, writing scripts like the Transformers movies, Star Trek movies, the rebooted ones, Chris Pine, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and The Mummy, with the Tom Cruise version, 2017. Story by Robert Orci, Alex Kurtzman, and honestly, with both of them, I'll admit I'm not big on those Star Trek movies or Transformers movies that they've written. I do like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 though, but The Mummy, I thought that sucked. Yeah, the Transformers movies are not that good in my opinion. The the ones that came out in the 2000s. And they did the story as well. So did Ted Elliott, and he did the story for Aladdin and Shrek 2 and Pirates of the Caribbean series. Perry Rosso, script for Aladdin and the Shrek movies as well. Based on Zorro by John McCulkey. Cinematography is by Phil Mix. He did cinematography for GoldenEye, The First Mask of Zorro, Bicentennial Man, starring late Robin Williams, Entrapment, another film starring Catherine Zeta-Jones, Around the World in 8 Days, starring Jackie Chan, Casino Royale, Edge of Darkness, starring Mel Gibson, The Smurfs and Smurfs 2, edited by Stuart Bird. Okay, he did some editing on Superman the movie, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, and Die Hard 2, The Last Boy Scout, Demolition Man, Star Trek Nemesis, Executive Decision, Superman 2, The Richard Donner Cut, Green Lantern, the 2011 film, Skyfall, Rogue One, Star Wars Story. Yeah. Music is by James Horner, the late James Horner, who also did the music score for the first movie. And the cues and stuff for the music score is pretty much the same here. There's no James Horner repeated, but James Horner would also go to. I do consider this a superhero film because think about Zorro is a hero who fights for the people. He wears a mask, and he's a good guy. Right. But James Horner, he's done music for a lot of movies like American Tail, Aliens, Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, Land Before Time, Glory. I'm sorry, The Rocketeer, Legends of the Fall, Jumanji, Casper, Balto, Deep Impact, The Perfect Storm, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Troy, The New World, The Karate Kid remake, and the first Amazing Spider-Man, which I do like that score. Production company Columbia Pictures, Evelyn Entertainment, Spyglass Entertainment, distributed by Sony Pictures Releasings, released October 28th, 2004. It's 130 minutes long. At the box office, a budget was $65 million to make this movie, and at the box office, it made $142.4 million worldwide. So it did make money, but I wouldn't say it wasn't as successful as the first movie. Roger Ebert said 1 out of 5 stars. He gave it 1.5 out of 4 stars, commenting that all the positive news about how to handle the Elena character. This movie has some of the worst ones. Yeah, the critics were not too big on this movie, and I can see why. One critic said that called this movie a waste of time, a waste of talent, time, and money, which somewhat I could agree with. Yeah, I kind of somewhat agree with them. Some critics liked it. I will say this movie does have some positives though. But anyway, let me get to the what the plot synopsis is about. Like I said the film is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. First one was 2 hours and 17 minutes long, so slightly longer. So they do trim it down with this one. So the basically what the story is that for the Legend of Zorro is that a secret society known as the Knights of Aragon seeks to keep the United States from achieving manifest destiny, freedom, basically. And only the legendary Zorro, Antonio Embarrass, can stop them. Unfortunately, Zorro, also known as Don Alejandro Vega, has problems of his own. His wife is divorcing him for spending too much time restoring heroics and not being a father to the young son. But it isn't long before the whole family gets caught up in stopping the Knights. And of course, this guy that she's dating, you forget that she's in. Well, the Pinkertons, these spy, they get her to spy on him because she knew that this Armando in the past. So they have to, you know, find out what he's up to, you know, and they have to stop him from destroying the United States. So he's got like a weapon that can, do this, and Zorro has to take Armando down and defeat him for good. Yeah, and save the United States. Yeah. All right, we get to the sequel. Again, it's not an awful sequel. It just wasn't needed. You didn't really need this. But I do like some things about it, I'll admit. I just don't think it was a sequel that was needed. I mean, to me, the first one, I think it's a great movie. Yeah, it's long, and you could trim down stuff in that first movie too. But the first movie is great because of the story and the cast and really good villains. It was such a good movie, and Elena and Alejandro, they were happy at the end. They had their baby, and he was gonna keep on being Zorro. It was like a happy ending that a nice send off with him. Nice shot of him with the sword, putting the Zorro sign in. Well, like a nice send off. Like we didn't really need a sequel. This felt like they just did it for the sake of it. Just let's make a Star Wars sequel just because some of the movies in in the year 2000s are making money. So hey, why not? We can't have a piece of the pie. That's just what I'm saying. I guess because some 2000s movies, superhero movies that were coming out were making money, so they probably figured, okay, let's bring Zorro back. You know, and it is nice to see. And Antonio Banderas and Kevin St. Jones, they are great in this movie. I'm not complaining. Yeah, they're good. Their chemistry is still there. But let's talk about the movie itself. It opens up. It's in 1815, about 10 years later, 9 years, whatever. after the events of the first film. What's happening? You get uptowns of California is voting on whether to join the United States of America as a state. That way, people can have freedom, and people are voting on the ballots. And you have Zorro there. This guy rings a bell 5 times. They ring a bell. It's kind of like the bat signal for Batman, but they don't have that technology. So they have this was 1850. They didn't have cars. They just rode horses back at that time. They can only use the bell some 5 times to summon Zorro, and he's undercover. Smiling at this kid. Making his own votes. And you have this guy named Jacob McGivens is a gunman in his belt that she's like, give me that, give me that gun. And I like him when Zoro throws his hat at him. It is a nice, somewhat of a decent opening of him, Zoro fighting them and then running away, and Zoro running on top and stuff. And Antonio Banderas, he still got it. Antonio Banderas, he did. You can watch a little bit behind the scenes of the movie about the stunts. A lot of times, Antonio Banderas, he did his own stunts for Zoro, which I think was cool. I mean, he did embody Zoro. He is Zoro to me, just like Christopher Reeve Superman. To me, Antonio is Zorro. And he's definitely great at that. With the movements, he still was good with a sword. He fights with these guys a bit on top of the ledge, top of this bridge. He cuts the ropes, fights. One guy gets his groin hit on a stick, not a stick, but one of the bridges. He hits his groin on the bridge, and and Antonio's like, ooh, falls. Uh, he is a, you know, when he jumps down, wherever when he jumps off the bridge, he's got a bullwhip that he can use to fly, kind of, well, not fly, but he's where he can go to. And that's where Jacob, Jacob McGivens, or just Jacob, punches him in the face. They get into a brief fight, and he takes his mask off, and he's able to, knock him out, get him down there, slide him down the slide to knock him out. And his mask comes off. He's like, oh, and he has to cut another mask. But these Pinkertons, they see him, which I thought that was pretty stupid, though. I'm like, oh, come on. You really had to let the villain get your mask off. He just grabbed his mask and I'm like, did you just hit him or do some kind of move? Yeah. And he doesn't hide his face that quickly either. He takes his time with it a little bit doing that. I'm like, you could have grabbed that mask a little faster with your knife, with your sword. Well, he goes back home and Elena says that she wants to spend more time together, that she's tired of him being Zorro. And this is where my issue with the film, it gets into this whole mellow drama between them. Really, these two would be happy married together, but no, after 10 years. Okay, I get it. If a couple was married for 10 years, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying marriage is perfect or anything. I'm sure couples after 10 years, somewhat do argue sometimes. I don't know, I'm not married, but sure they do. But it kind of get aggravating a little bit when she's complaining about him being Zorro. I'm like, you married him, you know he's going to continue being Zorro. We know by the end of the movie, he's still going to be the first movie. We know he's going to be Zorro still. And he talks about retirement one day. I'm like, you're not that old. Don't even look that old. He could be Zorro for a good time, but you know, at first everything's good, but then they argue. It's like, well, Zorro's who I am. She's like, but that's true. Then you can go ahead and live. He's like, fine. And he wears his mask and takes off. And next day, he's playing poker with some men, and he gets a paper. Well, Elena goes just after being mad with him. Their son is named Joaquin, and I don't really care for Joaquin too much. The kid I thought was annoying at times. He was likable toward the end of the movie for me, but kind of a brat, to me. And Elena, is shopping. She sees these guys going after her. And Cassidy Jones did some of her own stunts as well. They give her a bit more doing this movie, which is fine. I get it, but Roger, you were saying it's one of the worst ones. Yeah, yeah. So they blackmail her into divorcing him. There's gonna be spoilers here, by the way. And 3 months later, the separation though, it really gets bad for him, for Alejandro and Antonio Mendes. It gets bad for him. His servant apparently, got him undressed because he was swimming in the fountain naked. Sometimes the humor works, and I thought that was a bit funny. He's like, sister, you have sinned. He's got this father, compadre, who's his friend. He knows that he's Zorro, and he knows his family as well. Uh, and his divorce from his wife and his away from his son. He kind of upsets him, and he's just going through a rough time. Like people don't really need Zorro anymore because they voted for the America to be free. So there's no crime happening. There's nothing, no bad guys trying to do anything. And this is the point where the film takes place for either he's getting drunk, goes to a party. She's dating this man named Armando. His father Philippe. Okay, she's dating the Count Armando's. Armando, you know, he's dancing with her. They fuss. Like don't make me embarrass you. She slaps him. It's just this drama. Just was kind of irritating them arguing and bickering throughout the relationship. And he gets drunk that night, and gives his horse a little bit of the beer too. The horse just grabs beer with his mouth and drinks it. This explosion happens. Honestly, I thought an alien was going to show up or something. In this movie's E.T. going to show up in a Zorro movie, but he becomes suspicious of him. He even, phoned them the next day, asked him about it. I don't know anything about that. That's what Armando says. And they decided to have a competition because they're fighting for Elena's love. Kind of like knights playing a game. Armando does not Antonio down though, but Antonio knocks him back down, and he gets the stick off, like a stab into the stick, but she doesn't want him to win because she's undercover, so she has to stay divorced from him, and she has to find out. These parents want to find out what Armando is up to, so she the horse, the saddle, she unties it, and Antonio Bear falls off. Yeah. But after all that drama, goes back. Father Ortiz tells him. Philippe. Father tells him that the Cortez family, which I forgot to mention when he sees his son Rakeem fights with the teacher, his little fights with the teacher, slides down the pole in the school, and everybody's clapping. His father gets on him about like violence is never the answer. You shouldn't do that. He meets Jacob McGivens, who bugs the Cortez family, and then he bitch slaps Antonio Banderas. He's like, "Why teach my son teach that the other cheek? But leave me alone, you Mexican half breed." You know. But after the whole drama with his wife and having, the little horse race night show with Armando, he tells him that McGivens is going after him, and so he tells him to just mask again. As or he rescues Gilman's family and son. There's a little brief fight with him. I don't know why he just kind of runs away at first, and the family runs in there. Gilman gets his family behind her. She stabs a guy. They go in the barn, and he thinks that they're almost in danger. And Jacob, comes up behind the Cortez men, and Cortez, Gilman Cortez himself, and shoots him. Zorro fights with the guys a bit. Zorro fights decent fighting. They start a fire in there, and Zorro gets him out of time, but the father actually dies. Zorro looks at him in anger. What just happened? And see what Jacob is going up to. He's able to follow McGivens to Murder's house. Amanda wants to meet, her son, but she tells him no. And she's actually working for the Pinkertons, and she sends them a letter of what everything that's going on. She really does not like him, so she's undercover to find out what he's been up to lately. Uh, Zorro comes to sneak around. He uses his bullwhip to sneak up to the building, which I thought was really cool with the bullwhip and stuff when he would do that. And when she would notice him, they talk, and she tells me you can't be here. You're gonna go my cover. You're gonna put me in danger or whatever. and he hears Armando talking that Armando and him talking. They plan to build a railroad on Cortez's land. That they're planning to build a weapon, and he learns of an oncoming shipment that he's got to go track. Uh, Joaquin is able to get out of school because he gets his men to. It's this spark stuff they're using to build this weapon. Joaquin sneaks on their coach or whatever, and they nearly attack him. But on top of it, as Zorro, because his son doesn't know he's Zorro, by the way, fights them and is able to take him out, murdering his son. And he has to speak in Spanish. He can't really use his voice because his son would notice it, so he has to use talking Spanish. He sees the piece of the cargo that's like I said, a bar of soap, and it says Uber's Unum on it. And they learn that Armando is the head of the secret society known as Knights of the Dragon, whatever you want to call it, that secretly rules Europe. And to them, the U.S. is a threat to the Knights. So they plan to throw the country into chaos before it can gain too much power to take over the United States by blowing half of it up, part of this chaos. Alejandro gets captured by the Pinkertons. They tell him that they know that he's Zorro, that every time you confront your wife, you're gonna get her in trouble every time you get caught. He's like, you put my wife in danger. He's angry. He's like, come here, let me tell you something. Grabs him, hits the head on the floor. He's like, I'm gonna get you guys for this. You put my son and wife in danger. Doing this. And they said, in this mask, by the way, belongs in a museum, just like you belong in a museum. Yeah, they copied the line from Indiana Jones. I'm like, yeah. So they throw him and keep him in jail. His son, he sees his son, and he tells him, hey, Joaquin, come here. And he's able to get his son sneaked. He uses the whip, not the whip. His son uses the slingshot with the rock. Gets one guy to chase him, grabs the keys to fight the man. He uses it with a sword, and his dad's like, his son, he sees him do that. Fighting all the others with him. He's like, Dad, where'd you learn that? He's like, son, prison changes a man. Like I said, he doesn't know that he's Zorro. Then he puts, he tells him, son, you're staying here. Alejandro tells his son, Joaquin, you're going to stay here with Father Felipe. He's like, no, I don't want to stay here. I want to go with you. He's like, no, it's too dangerous. No, you don't deserve mom. You don't deserve to be with her, little brat. Anyway, he becomes Zorro again, puts on his mask. He learns that the soap bar are secretly an ingredient for nitrogen, which he plans to distribute throughout the Confederate army with the help of Confederate Colonel Bugard to destroy the Union. Uh, Elena gets tapped by these men. She's sword fighting, and again, Catherine Jones, she's still beautiful in here. She's still even more beautiful in this sequel than she is in the first movie. Well, first movie, but even more in here. She fights, and they sword fight a little bit. Like the scene where they sword fight, a guy's butt, they put the Z on it, kick him, and he's like, I lied to you when I told you I wanted pearls, but now you have them, princess. It's like, well, we never really belonged together, but finally we are something, and they share a kiss, rekindle the relationship, and Zorro plans to destroy that to sneak around a little bit, and they see Armando having a meeting with one of his guys, and one of the governors, one of the knights, refuses to be a part of it because he thinks it's insane. So one of those like a little bomb at him is like, hey, one more test. Throws a bomb at him and like, oh, Zorro's knocks out a guy and takes his hat. Seems like they have one of the beer cans, that he explains to them that these wine bottles are bombs that they're going to put on a train for the weapon. Zorro's able to sneak and, you know, create kind of like dynamite out of it. the string and, well, if it goes blow the train up, destroy it so they can't do it. Then McGavin shows up to the priest, to Philippe's church to look for the door. He's like, the door could be anybody. It could be me. He's like, okay, compadre, you're lying. And, Philip punches him and they fight. He tussles with him in a bit, but McGivens ugh, shoots him dead. So you think. It was actually his cross bracelet that saves his life from the bullet. You know what you've seen if you've seen the movie. However, Butler tracks the Pinkertons and kills them, and knowing about Lane's deception, he's like, Amanda, she's like, I'm enjoying this food. What is it? And the bird that was giving them signals, that was, you know, messages. Because this was a time where you didn't have mailboxes, you didn't have cars, you didn't have the mailman. I guess they can only use birds then to travel messages back and forth, you know. But anyway, she's eating the bird. She discusses about it. And she sees the Pinkerton. He's like, well, he would join me now. And they got her son too. They capture Joaquin because Joaquin tries to help out or jump in or whatever. Well, I'm sorry. No, no, no. When they shoot the priest, they shoot Philippe and they kidnap Joaquin. Jacob does. Uh, Zorro is, he sees that his family pictures out there, and he's like, no, and he had to get his horse to ride up there real quick and change it, but he gets caught by a Hondo and Jacob. And they pull him over and like got him tied down. I said, take the mask off, take the mask off, and and his and they see him on mask as who he is, Alejandro, and he's like, so Alejandro, you the whole time, your husband, you knew Elena, you know, and her was like, Poppy, he's like, and he's like, your wife, your son, and your country are gone now. And he's like, and Zoro tells him right in his face, because Zorro gets in it, actually does. He tells him, Armando, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, there is nowhere on this earth you can hide from me from stopping you. And McGivens and Kim's like, no, no, Hideo, no. She begs him and he listens, like, tells him, kill him after we leave. Which ends up being, they could have killed him right there. But of course, villains don't do that until a savoring moment. In movies, they don't really kill the bad guys unless they get really the chance to. But McGivern, you try to kill him. Instead, Zorro fights back. You know, Leandro fights back. Rest of them. And the priest shows up saying that he was saved by the bracelet, his cross bracelet, whatever you want to call it. Uh, you know, they fight, they power McGivens. And his death is very laughable. It's the part of this top thing that it's a water drip that's from the wine that's bombs, and it blows my head. He has this, like, this weird. I laughed at this. I mean, that scream was so over the top and so badly in a bad way. Yes, so stupid. His death was so stupid. McGivens' death should have been. It was so stupid. Anyway, he dies, so they go to save the family. Well, he does put the mask back on, and he has them in the back car. So many still plan to do with them. Uh, I like it when Joaquin said, I do like when Joaquin said, my dad's on King. He's like, like, Joaquin. I'm like, well, come on, let him say it now. I know kids shouldn't be cussing, but he write you like this asshole. But I liked it though when he hears something out the window. He opens up the curtain and Nora punches him in the face and fight. A sword. They have a sword fight. Elena fights with the fair, his bodyguard or whatever, Fairgate, whatever his name is. He's got the sword. He's fighting. She like sprays some bad stuff in his face, like this acid that she sprays in his face. There's a bit of a fight there. Zorro fights with him. And he puts the sword. He pats Alejandro's shirt, put the Z on it. He's like, so that when you die, the devil will know who sent you. I like that line. They fight a bit. They go out to the side and on top of the train. I mentioned on top of the train too that his horse is on top of the train, and they have to jump inside of the train. Well, not inside, but inside of a cabin in the train. If someone king gets out, that they have to each has to switch the train tracks from the governor is showing this train tracks at Raleigh where they're gonna make it to clear, the United States. It's headed for there to blow it up, and they have to stop them. So Zorro and Armando's continue fighting. Still get a few hits on them. It's a decent fight. I think the first movie had a better fight though, a lot more brutal. Zorro does kind of get his ass kicked a little bit, well not too badly though. He does fight back pretty good. I mean, yeah, you can always have villain that can fight back pretty good. It takes him to the very front train engine. He almost comes close to killing Zorro, take him to the side, but Elena shows up to help him. He's got her, but he's able to, cut at him or whatever, stabs him. He's able to like tie his neck with a rope or something to the train. And Amara gets killed with the nitrogen. The water bottles get blown up by breaking at the end of at the end of the track, and it destroys the train and it kills Armando. And then Zorro and Selena, he uses his bullwhip. They fly out of there. He even tries to grab at them to stop them, but Zorro kicks him in the face, and then the train explodes. He dies. Yeah, he saves her, kind of like a Back to the Future 3-part 3 moment. That shot. But with Zorro's official win as the governor signs the bill, California becomes the 31st state of the United States of America. Philippe remarries Alejandro and Elena, and he apologizes to his surprise. He's just doing it to protect them, though, which is a good reason. But he realizes that it should be in the family. And they don't keep secrets from the family. It really secrets do tear family apart. Does tear family apart. And at first, Elena doesn't support him being, but at the end of the movie, she realizes that Zorro is who Alejandro is. That's who we are. We fight for good, you know. And she told, come Audrey, second time he hears the bell ringing. Alejandro's not going to go because he doesn't respect his wife. But she says, "You're Zorro. That's who we are. Who we are. You need to go," and he does. Puts on the mask, gets the whip, his suit on, his cape on, mask and his hat, and takes off on Sunset in a sort of tornado. To go on the next mission to go on the next fight. And that's the end of The Legend of Zorro. Yeah. Yeah. Let me give my final thoughts on this movie. I ain't gonna read no quotes from it. Now, Legend of Zorro, I think this is an okay film, in my opinion. This is an alright movie. I think it's a time waster at best. It's just meh. But another way, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, it's not a terrible film. It's just okay. It does have some good in it. There's some good stuff I like about it, but I'll get to that in a bit. But I'll get to it now. What do I like about it? First of all, I do like Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. They have chemistry. I just didn't like that they wanted to divorce them and them bickering in the movie. I'm like, really? They have good chemistry in the first movie. They fall in love, and you expect them to be happy, but then they just argue constantly throughout the movie. And okay, what do I like? I do like Antonio Banderas as Zorro. He's great. For Alejandro, it's cool that he did his own stunts. He can still do the sword fights and stuff. The mask, the costume. They did change it a little bit. As of the first one, the hat's just black, and I think in here they changed the colors of it a little bit. You know, art is the same, but it's still it's a cool mask, cool costume. I like that he uses a full whip, and of course I like the sword. Catherine Zeta-Jones still beautiful. She's great as Elena. Martin Campbell did a good job directing, but I just don't think he had the best writers to work with. You know, yeah, you have people who wrote Yeah, they wrote the Transformers movies, the Michael Bay ones, and the Star Trek movies. Which, sorry, those movies are not that great. And the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which a lot of people hate. I hated the Mummy. I don't hate the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but a lot of people did. So he wasn't really hiring the best writers, to do the job. Hmm. And you got producers like Walter McParts that did it. His work includes in Minority Report and the Men in Black series. Sorry, forgot to mention the producers. But oh well, the cinematography is nice. I mean, I guess you can call it Mexico or California. It's California, 1950. The cinematography does look nice, but for the sequel, it does look good. The first one I think has better cinematography though, but this one has good cinematography too. The editing is fine. The action scenes are decent. They're nothing to write home about, but they're good. But the first one I think had a lot better action. It was more entertaining and fun to watch. The music score, it's kind of just the same thing because James Horner repeats it in this movie. The music score is the same. I mean, it's good music score, and it really does fit the character of Zorro. Kind of like a Spanish theme, and that fits Zorro pretty well. For the rest of the cast, though, uh, Rufus as far as the villain, he was alright. I mean, he was good. Yeah, and then Nick Chimon Jacob McGivens, secondary antagonist of the film, he was alright. He was good. I kind of wish he died in a better way, though. His death was just, in my opinion, was just laughable with that scream. But I felt the villains were forgettable in here. The first Stuart Wilson and I know that in the guy that played the captain, they were more vicious. Well, for one, Stuart Wilson was it's pretty messed up what he did, killing, taking Anthony Hopkins' daughter, or clearly Catherine Jones when he took her to raise her as his own and trying to destroy California. So it was like, okay, they're trying to destroy California again, but this time from becoming the United States. Just a bigger plan or whatever. That you go with bigger with the sequel. And this one it didn't work, but they do that. But yeah, the villains in the first movie were just a lot better. And I like the captain better because of the guards better because he's a better villain because he liked to have body parts from people. He enjoyed killing people. He was cruel, sadistic. And I'm saying, McGibbons is that way too. But I just felt they, should give him a better death. You know, I didn't care for the kid too much. I mean, I like the ending when he, helps the well, thanks with the horse or puts the hat on this. That was a cool moment. But either way, I didn't really care about the kid too much. And the one that plays the Philippe, he was alright. He was good. Some of the other cats are alright. Musical was decent, but it doesn't have no good music, no good songs in there. I don't remember any songs in this movie. It was a canceled crossover sequel. I guess they were planning to do a sequel. Quentin Tarantino I pitched it and Jared Cameron to co-write a film adaptation crossover. It's called Django Zorro, which crossover. Tarantino and Django Fox have both expressed interest in having a ton of extra surprise about Zorro from the Master Zorro in this movie. In the film having canceled, I guess because this film didn't make. Now it did make money. It just didn't make huge numbers. Your sequel has to make tons of money, even more than the first movie. Like Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 made for movie more money than the first one. You know, yeah, that's how you get a sequel. The box office, you know. But the story, I didn't care for the story too much about them breaking up. The whole villain's plan to destroy California and then be a free state. I didn't find that interesting. And some of the film was boring. Some of the dialogue between them arguing is annoying. It's just family melodrama going on, and it kind of drags the film. The pacing I have an issue with. It just drags the film a bit, and it kind of gets boring. I nearly fell asleep a couple times watching this movie because it's just the plot, the story's not interesting. Yeah, The Mask of Zorro. Like I said, the first movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes long, but the thing is, it has a really good story that I can follow, and yeah, that's what makes it great. The story is really good. You have two leads here, but the rest of the cast, just, meh, just there. The first one had a better cast. You had Anthony Hopkins for God's sake and Stuart Wilson. They were great. You had a lot better cast in the first movie. You know, Martin Campbell, he did what he could. Yeah, he's trying to make a good movie. They're trying to make a good sequel. They are trying, but I think it just fails because you didn't need this movie. I don't think nobody wanted a Master Zorro sequel. That's very why, and that 7 year gap I think really hurt the sequel too. I just think it was a little too late for a Zorro sequel at the time. But again, with superhero movies making, comic book films making some money around this time, not as much as the MCU as they became big, but still quite a bit of them, did make money, and that's probably why they were thinking, well, you know, we want the cash, so that's probably why, because Zorro made money, so let's just make a sequel just for the sake of it, right? That's just Hollywood for you. But the film does get a little boring and the dialogue's bad. Some of the action is decent. Uh, the effects are pretty good for 2005, I think. Some of it is some dated CGI, but yeah, it's just a film that's okay. And I do about these two being in love. We don't get that. We just get them bickering and having her being undercover for the Pinkertons. I didn't find that interesting at all. I'm like, can't we just have them be a team? But they don't trust Zorro, and I'm like, and if I never didn't lose his mask like an idiot, instead of trying to keep it on a little better, yeah, yeah. Because if somebody found out he's Zorro, they can try to kill his family. Yeah, that's why you got to keep that mask on. But again, the film is okay. It's an alright sequel. It's just it's just forgettable. It's not the worst movie in the world. It's not one of the worst sequels ever made. No, I mean I would say this is more watchable than some of the Mask. No, or For a Wicked Prayer. Oh my God, those films are terrible. Or some of the films in the '90s, like I could say this is better than Turbo Power Rangers the movie, Spawn, because I hate Spawn. Still, definitely better than Still. Inspector Gadget, the first Inspector Gadget movie, better than that. Because the film doesn't piss me off. It's just, meh. It's just okay. Barely a time waster, in my opinion. It's a movie I'd say you could watch on TV, but if you love the first movie, I would say give the Dope Feature, but the first one is great. It's a classic, I think. But don't expect the sequel to be the same. It's just, yeah, honestly, it's not a bad movie. There is some good in here. It does have some entertainment in there at times. Sometimes the humor works. Sometimes the humor falls flat or ridiculously stupid sometimes in the movie. Yeah, sometimes the humor does become stupid most of the time, and sometimes it does work. But it's just to see what that wasn't needed. It's not a bad movie. There is some good in here. It's an okay movie. It's meh. Like it's just a time waster in my opinion. Just an unnecessary sequel. It's just bottom line, in my opinion, Legend of Zorro is just it's a forgettable movie in my opinion. A sequel that wasn't needed, in my personal opinion. But guys, that was my review of Legend of Zorro. Oh, let me give my rating for it. I'm gonna give Legend of Zorro, sorry, a thumbs down. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a thumbs down. Even though it's okay, I still think it deserves thumbs down. And my rating for this film, hmm, you know what? This probably will, well, maybe review slash rant, a nice rant. I'm gonna give this film 2 out of 5 stars. It's not bad. It's just not a very good sequel. Yeah, it's just meh. You know what? No, I changed my mind on the rating. I shouldn't do that. Change my mind, but well, it's my video. I can. My rating for the film is 3 out of 5 stars. It's 3 out of 5 stars. It's okay. It's meh. Still a thumbs down though. Yeah. Still a letdown of a sequel in my opinion. A very forgettable movie. So guys, tell me in the comments down below. What do you think of The Legend of Zorro with Antonio Banderas, Captain Stages? Do you agree with me that it's a forgettable sequel? You know that it's meh. Or do you like it more than the first movie? I mean, I disagree with that. I mean, to each his own. If you think that, that's fine. That's your opinion. But from my perspective, the first movie is a better masterpiece. It didn't need a sequel. You didn't need one because this was lightning in the bottle, and you this proof that you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice. Just doesn't work sometimes Hollywood. But that's just Hollywood. Just does sequels because sometimes or reboots or remakes just for the sake of making money. But that's the Legend of Just an alright movie. Meh. Alright guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think of this movie now. I was gonna say something, but never mind. Oh, I did review the first movie, by the way. If you look at my new channel, my superhero reviews playlist, marathon, slash videos, marathon, whatever. Superhero reviews, marathon, slash videos. It's on there, The Mask of Zorro from 1998. If you want to see more of my thoughts independent on the first movie, I did review the first movie. Or you can just look up, put my name and leave a McNally, The Mask of Zorro 1998, if you want to see my review of the first film. And now I'll be getting to the year of 2006 for superhero movies. Now we're getting to the year 2006. Now, I will not be reviewing two Superman movies, animated live action one. That is Superman Frantic Attacks and Superman Returns. I will share them on that playlist, but I will not review them. You'll see the reviews. I promise you they'll be on that. First of all, we're going to start with it'll be some animated movies this time. So now we're going to get into some animated superhero movies as well. Starting with Ultimate Avengers. These are Ultimate Avengers 1 that came out in 2006. So Ultimate Avengers, this one, this will be the next review. So stay tuned for Ultimate Avengers the movie. This will be my next review. So stay tuned for that. And tell me what you guys think of Legend of Zorro in your opinion. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Oh, the video's getting hyperlink. But anyway, guys, I'm done for today. Thanks for watching. I don't know. I probably won't do another video today. Sorry. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.